Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Guilford Selectboard meeting of February 14th, 2022. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. It's nice to see you. And I would like to recognize the public. I see Jackie Gaines and Don McLean. And those of you whom I don't know, welcome to our Selectboard meeting. The rules of procedure, we have rules of procedure, which are the rules which basically the basic premise of which is that we interact with each other civilly. We raise our hands to be recognized. Peter has those on his desk if we need to look into them. Are there any changes to the agenda order?
Yes, Richard, we have one. Due to the meeting being canceled last week, the statistical reappraisal will be added under other business.
Okay. Thank you. With that, I would like to know whether we have a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Miranda motions. Is there a second?
A second.
Rusty seconds. Is there any discussion? Well, I shall take the roll then. Miranda?
Aye.
Zon?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard, aye. That carries. Thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Danny Dombrowski, who's going to give us the highway update.
Well, you guys are going to see some pretty hefty bills on your warrant. So far to date, we spent over about $30,000 in sand already. We got $10,000 left for sand. That should get us through the winter, hopefully. I got 3/4 of a shed full. And we spent almost $18,000 in salt. Your warrant's not going to, because I had salt bills and sand bills that I had at the shop. But I put tires on the grader because it needed it, and that was, those tires were 9 years old and there weren't nothing left of them. We've had a lot of cold weather, so we've had a lot of frozen culverts, which we've been going around thawing out. We got an old steam thawer that thaws them out. So right now, we had some warm days and the roads are a little ruddy. They're starting to soften up here and there in places, but that's ain't much you can do about it. Other than that, I got a little problem with my backhoe. Somehow the depth fluid got contaminated with some petroleum oil, and we put an insurance claim in on it because it's going to be around $7,000 to fix it.
Do you know how that happened, Dan?
No. We don't. Either somebody made a mistake and they ain't fessing up to it, or somebody poured a little 911 in it, and we don't know. My cameras are all down because they were working on a building, so I can't play my videos back. So, but
It's too
we ended
bad.
up putting they're still waiting for parts. So hopefully within another day or two they'll get down and fix it. So. Other than that, I mean, we got my favorite time of season's coming up here in another month or so, and I think we're going to have some mud like we did last year. I mean, the frost is down in the ground pretty good, so.
Can't wait.
No, either can I. That's when I'm coming down to visit you.
Okay.
No.
I had a question. What do you think the impact is going to be, considering it was 10 degrees today and it's going to be almost 60 degrees on Thursday? What's that going to do to the roads?
It'll dry. I mean, just like Saturday, we had it was 50 degrees. I mean, when the sun's going to shine, it'll dry it out. It'll get a little soft and get a little funky, but it's when you really get the real warm days and you get them warm nights. And the biggest thing it draws the mud out, like I said earlier, if you get foggy nights, that's drawing the frost out, and that's normally not a good thing because it draws it out too fast. And that's like last year we had fog, and that's when some of the roads just went kaput. I mean, when that happens, there ain't much you can do. We can't fool around with Mother Nature.
That's right.
So,
Any other questions for Dan or comments? Dan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
And thank you for the month that's about to come.
The town garage is all done, the siding.
Oh, right.
I just wanted to bring that up. It looks great. And since they wrapped it and insulated it, we've noticed a real big difference in the heat. So it's a lot warmer in here than what it used to be. So, but it does look good. If you guys get a chance, swing by and should take a look at it.
Will do.
Oh.
Thanks for the update.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, on to new business. Peter's going to talk to us about the DVFiber installation at the town office.
Actually, we've got two individuals on the Zoom meeting here with us. We've got David Jones and Stephen John, both from DVFiber. And I'm going to allow them to explain it, as they can do a much better job than I can.
Okay, take it away, David and Stephen. Who's first?
Okay, thank you. This is David. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I'm here with Steve and John, and of course there's, Stephen is our vice chair, and there's a very familiar face on the screen as well, Zon Eastis, who is your representative to DVFiber. As I'm sure you all know, DVFiber is the communications union district that comprises 24 towns in our area, including Guilford. And we are currently working under the terms of a $4.1 million grant from the Vermont Community Broadband Board to design our network. And as part of the design, we have to establish what we call points of presence. And these are places where electronic equipment is housed in order for the internet signal to be passed on, along a backbone route, and then from that backbone route to all of the homes and businesses that we expect to serve. We need to find a point of presence location in Guilford. And we approached Peter and asked if there was a possibility for us to have such a location in the town office. Stephen and I visited the town office and have identified one good location out of the three that Peter suggested, one that our engineer would support. And we would like to ask your permission to place a cabinet at that location and to make connections to that cabinet so that it can serve as our point of presence. That's the simple story. Stephen, what did I leave out?
Well, I don't know whether people care about the big picture, but the project involves all 24 towns, member towns of our CUD, of the Deerfield Fiber Municipal Corporation entity. And there's the concept is to reach everybody with a redundancy, so that if something breaks or if there's something that happens to the line of service, the signal will go around the other way to get to your place. And so there really are three rings, one in the south going through Guilford and Halifax and over to Reedsboro and Stamford, and there's looping back up along Route 9. Then there's a middle one that's a similar loop stacked on that. They look like marshmallows on the map. So that goes through Wardsboro, up Stratton Way and so forth. And then the most northern one goes all the way up to Weston through Winhall. And then it all comes back down Route 30, back to Brattleboro. And we also have a loop going out to serve the easternmost towns of Westminster and Putney. That's visually. And so this is important because it's important to know that you're on the main, best designed highway of fiber running in the south, in the southernmost tier. So we look forward to any questions you may have.
Peter, does the Selectboard need to vote on this if we want to have that, if we approve of it being in the town office?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Are there any, do I have a motion for placing that cabinet, as you say, in the town office? Miranda has motioned. Do I have a second? John seconds. Is there any discussion? Yes, John. You're on mute, John. That's better. You're on mute.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I saw Rusty's hand. I just wonder if there are, although I'm on the board, I don't know too much about this yet. So I'm wondering about things like, ongoing maintenance requirements or necessary needs for access, and what kind of relationship would be required from the town of Guilford in order to make this work on beyond just the space.
Right. What we need is access we need a space. We need access to the space 24/7, and we need access to reliable power. The space that Peter suggested, one of the spaces he suggested, and looks good to our engineer, is a space on your upper floor in the second room opposite where the maps are hung. That could work for us. We understand that you have emergency power, and we would want to hook into your electrical system with the emergency power. And we would be running fiber optic cable to your building and hooking it up, and we would have to find a way to run cable to reach the upstairs room. And then I can't recall if I said, but we would require 24/7 access to that room to be able to service the equipment should there be any issue.
Are there any potential security issues that we should be thinking of? Do we need to create a isolated, separate space?
Are you asking me?
Well, just throwing that out there.
I don't, at this point in time, to my knowledge, everything of importance it will be locked in the 2 vaults that we have. So should they need access at a time of day in which a town employee or official is not available, I don't at this time foresee any issues. I mean, we allow all our commissions to come in after hours to have their meetings, and they're fully explaining what the project is and that it's to the benefit of the town. So I don't personally foresee any issue at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking for your opinion, so thank you.
Any other? Yes, Rusty.
Just wonder, what is the size of this thing we're talking about? Is it going to be an obstruction in the room, or?
It's
2 feet by 18 inches deep by 48 inches tall. 2 feet wide. Yeah. It's pretty modest. I mean, compared to what I thought it was going to be.
and you've measured it to the space that you're proposing.
Yeah, Peter went up there with us, and well, maybe you weren't, Peter, I forgot, but we had a tape. We measured it.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. I will take the roll. Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, and yippee for moving along the internet highway, the fiber highway. We're moving along, aren't we?
We are. We hope to get some people connected towards the end of this year for sure. So
Oh, wow.
That's great.
we'll see.
What a change that will be. Thank you very much, Steve and Dave.
Yeah,
Thank you for your support.
pleasure. Thanks for your support.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, on to Treasury NEU online account designations.
Yeah, this will just be very brief. So as the select board is currently aware, the town needs to create an account on the Treasury NEU website. NEU is the non-entitlement unit, which is any municipality of fewer than 50,000 people, of which we are. In order to do that, Because Richard was previously made the account administrator by a vote of the select board for this, either one of two things needs to happen. Either Richard needs to log in and create an account on there on behalf of the town, or based on my conversation with him, that would be part of my responsibilities. And so, because the select board made the previous action to appoint Richard, I would recommend, there's 3 roles that need to be fulfilled. These roles can be all assigned to one individual. They can be assigned to multiple individuals. So it's up to you. But we need an account administrator, we need a point of contact for reporting, and an authorized representative for reports. And so if you want me to take on those roles within the NEU website, we should have a motion of the select board to authorize me to do that.
Oh, Peter, before we do that, you know, we have members of the public here, and I wonder if you could give a brief explanation of what we're talking about, just so that people can know.
Sure, of course. Good question, Miranda. So this was relating to the American Rescue Plan Act, more commonly known as ARPA. This is related to the ARPA funding. And as part of this process, the Treasury Department is requiring every municipality and state in the country that has received funds to submit annual reporting. And our first report is going to be due by the end of April. And so the town needs to create this online account in order to facilitate this process.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion then to, I can make the motion. I will make the motion that those 3 responsibilities go to Peter, our town administrator. Do I have a second? Thank you, Zon. Is there any discussion? I would like to say that I find that I'm getting the emails from the Treasury Department, and they're all very administrative, and it's very clear to me that we need somebody in the office as the point person for this kind, you know, who's involved in the town finances and the town accounts more than I am, and it really does fall under the responsibility of the town administrator. So I'm very happy to not be the signator on here and to have Peter do it, because I have been getting the emails, and they're very long emails, and I've been forwarding them on to Peter. I mean, the minute I get them, I forward them on, lest I forget to do that. So that is the rationale in my mind for doing this.
Hey, Richard, may I just, the one thing I would just add to that is I'm not going to be doing anything without the knowledge of the select board as far as this reporting. So all the reporting and everything that happens, and Richard will continue to receive these emails. I will just be taking on that responsibility away from him.
Any further comments or questions? Michael?
Do you have the capacity? I mean, I'm thankful that you're willing to consider taking this on, Peter. How much of a drain on your time do you think this will be? Is it manageable?
I believe it's going to be manageable, considering their reporting is, I'm going to talk to the camera.
Sorry.
Considering their reporting is only going to be done on an annual basis, given that our budget is completed, the town meeting is going to be here shortly, and the hazard mitigation plan will be complete this week. I think that it will certainly fit within my schedule.
I'd be comfortable moving forward.
Okay, all right. Are we ready to take a vote then? Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Zon?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. That vote carries. Thanks very much. Okay, on to Act 78 and remote meetings. Peter, you were going to talk to us about this.
Yeah, so in the past couple of weeks, I've sent a number of, as EMD, or the Emergency Management Director, I've sent several emails to the Select Board with updates from meetings I've been participating in, with conference calls with Vermont Emergency Management, as well as other EMDs and first responders. About a month ago, Governor Scott signed Act 78 into law, which is a somewhat of a repeat of an act that he signed into law last year, which authorizes temporary changes for the next 12 months to open meeting law. And one of those changes is enabling select boards to make the option to have fully remote meetings. Based on the status of COVID in Vermont right now, the Vermont Emergency Management is encouraging select boards to take this action. One point to note is Act 78 is what is known as a permissive law, which means that it gives select boards the option whether or not to adopt this. You are not required to adopt this. But as EMD, and from all the information I've been hearing on a weekly basis, considering that COVID cases in Vermont right now are the highest that we've seen since the pandemic began, I would recommend at least for maybe a month or 2 months to do remote meetings and then reconsider it again after that point in time.
So are you suggesting that we have a motion that all select board meetings are remote?
Yes, as well as all commission meetings. Correct, Richard.
Or I mean, given the governor, given Act 78?
Correct.
Could I have some clarification here? Are we talking?
I had his hand up first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, I blipped out. Peter, you said select board meetings as well as.
As well as all commission meetings.
Okay, thank you.
That was what I was going to ask, except that I wanted to add, are we saying that select board meetings and commission meetings have the option of being entirely remote or will be entirely remote?
I would recommend will be entirely remote. I would say for the time being, put a time period, say till the end of March or till the end of April or some time period like that, and reevaluate based on the data from Vermont Department of Health and Emergency Management at that point in time. Richard, Ann Ryder has her hand up.
Yes, Ann.
I guess I'm a little surprised by the timing of this. It just seems to me that caseloads are actually coming down quite precipitously. And to make a motion like this that goes till the end of April, maybe I'm being naively optimistic. I'm kind of hopeful that as our numbers decrease, we will be able to have more in-person meetings, or certainly, as you guys have been doing, have the option of people being in person or on Zoom. I think that's a wonderful option that hopefully will go past the pandemic. But to get the original point of just doing remote meetings, I guess I'm surprised by the timing, because the numbers are actually now coming down. We had 120 cases in Vermont today and yesterday, and that's way lower than it's been. So.
Would you like to respond to that?
I appreciate Ann's point. I mean, and the information I'm presenting to the select board was based off of the Vermont Emergency Management meeting last week. At that point, the caseload was just under 600 per day. So obviously, it's come down quite a bit since then. They do have another meeting this week in which I'll participate. If the select board wishes, we can pause until the next select board meeting, and I can update you between now and then.
I would be in favor of going that route.
I would too. I'm pretty comfortable with what we're doing right now. I think it's helpful to have some presence in the building if we can manage it. I personally feel comfortable being here, but I respect how Peter feels about it too.
Okay, I'm fine either way. I just wanted to present the information for discussion to the select board. I'm not bothered, so if you would like to take that route, I'm happy to update you later this week.
Are there any other comments or questions about this? So right now it's standing that we're thinking about that we will not make a motion on this, and that we will take a wait and see attitude, really based on the case numbers in Vermont and Peter's meeting with the EMDs next week. Does that suit the select board?
It seems like, the different commissions are generally meeting remotely right now, but I think it's a good decision to let it ride for a while.
I agree. Zahn?
So I have just a technical question about how this works. If we choose not to, put in all remote meetings, does that mean that there has to be a physical presence in the town offices for all meetings?
Yes, that is technically correct, Zahn.
Okay. So, all right. So I'm just, so let's just say the Conservation Commission decided, although every single member decided they wanted to meet online, there would still be, because of the way we're doing it now, there would be a requirement for someone to be in the building for public entry or that sort of thing. So,
Yes, this is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Rhonda?
I mean, if this is true, if we let this ride, then, I mean, I guess I would be in favor of saying that that town commissions, the select board and town commissions have the option of meeting entirely remotely, because I think it would be a burden on the commissions, especially some of the smaller commissions, to have somebody being at the town office. I think that if people were going to be obeying the letter of that it would be burdensome. So I'd like to recommend a motion. I mean, I'd like to move that we give the select board and the commissions the option of having entirely remote meetings until the end of March, when we'll explore it again.
Yes, Zahn? Oh, well, wait, I need a second. For
I will second it, but then I'm going to discuss.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay, all right. Is there any, so the motion's been made and seconded. Now, Zahn, go.
Thank you. Well, Brenda, I think I love your idea of giving people options. I think it's really great, but I can only imagine there'll be just, remarkable amounts of confusion over the next month or so about whether or not someone actually needs to be in the building or not. Or is that a concern? I could imagine that it might be.
Okay, can the commission have a remote meeting without? No, the public has to be invited, so it has to be disseminated from the town office. Because so the public can be involved. Yes, Ann?
Can't the commission just say, using the Conservation Commission as an example, Conservation Commission will be meeting on Wednesday, March 10th. This meeting will be remote. If you'd like to attend, here's the Zoom. Or the, Planning Commission will be meeting Wednesday, March 14th. This meeting will be remote with the option of being in person. You can attend in person, or here's the Zoom link. I mean, it seems like that's what you guys are doing now. Am I wrong about that?
Well, but Peter's in the building, so that the public has to have access to the meeting. And the only way isn't it true, Peter, that we need to do it in order to have the public involved, or can we just advertise it? No, we have to have it coming.
And that's true for all the commissions as well, Conservation Commission?
So,
ridiculous.
So just for clarification, so if the select board does not take your authority under Act 78, then yes, both the select board and all commissions are technically, by the letter of the law, if we're going to abide by that, should have at least one person at the town office for their meetings. However, Ann is also partially correct. If the select board were to pass this motion that Veranda made, that would give them, the commissions, the ability to have only remote meetings. just simply, like Ann stated, when they warn their meeting with their agenda, you have to say, this meeting is remote only, and here is how to access that remote meeting. And you have to have the option to access by telephone or by video.
And you don't have to have someone in the building, so to speak.
That is correct. If you take action based off of Act 78, that is correct.
Unless you claim you're having a public meeting, then you have to have somebody in the.
No.
No, all the meetings are public.
So that's what the change that's what the change from Act 78 enables, is that this could be a public meeting even if the three of us were not sitting in a room right here.
Oh, I see.
But the select board has to make a motion saying that, pursuant to Act 78, that, similar to what Brenda's motion that she said, that either the select board or commissions have the option to have a fully remote meeting pursuant to Act 78 until that end of March, at which time the select board would review again.
Okay, so can we say that that's the articulation of the motion that has been made and seconded? Does everybody understand the motion? Are we ready to vote on the motion?
Let's sort of restate it one more time here.
Okay, so Peter has it.
So the motion that Veranda made and Zahn seconded was Veranda moved to give the select board and commissions the option to have a fully remote meeting pursuant to Act 78 until the end of March, at which time the select board will review the process again.
Good, okay. So I'll take the vote then. Michael?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Veranda?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. Okay, that carries. Very good. Thank you. Okay, on to discussion and updates. I had put on the agenda a potential library edition update. I just wanted to make sure that everyone who is on this call and here, and that you will tell your friends, acquaintances, colleagues, and spouses that a fact sheet has been created about the library edition that can be found on the town website, on the library website, and it was on Front Porch Forum at a time instructing people where to find it. So in my view, it's a pretty comprehensive fact sheet about the size of the building, the cost of the building, what is going to be asked for the voters of Guilford to vote on. So that's the update that I wanted to give, and I hope they will all spread that word that there is an FAQ or a fact sheet to, and it also has a place where it directs you to where you can ask questions.
Richard, Dan Calais has his hand up.
Dan, okay, Dan?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I appreciate the town officials creating the FAQ document in response to so many questions following the meeting. But from reviewing it, I do have a few questions. And I do feel the need to state that the FAQ document seemed more focused on selling the idea to voters rather than providing unbiased details. The FAQ document for the library project references demand data going back to 2019. I have a question surrounding that data. Does that demand data account for unique users of the library or total users? Because that's a really important thing to understand. Is it a small portion of the town utilizing the services of the library multiple times, or is it more spread out? One reference point was that 631 town residents have been entertained by 50 programs, outside of the 300 school children and their parents who attended story times. The 300 number seems really high if you're thinking of unique children. It seems how there's only 229 children between pre-K and high school in Guilford. Along with the 631 town residents, that would be approximately 30% or a little less attending programs, so I'm assuming that it's not unique visitors. And if it isn't unique, I think that data is a little misleading, especially if we're considering approving such a significant spend for something that potentially a small portion of the town is really going to utilize. The FAQ also mentions volatility of market conditions and the actual cost of the project, and states that the plan goes over budget, that taxpayers wouldn't be responsible for the additional burden. How can the select board guarantee taxpayers won't be on the hook for additional costs or making up the difference if grants and fundraising projections aren't met. If the town commits to this project and their funding goals aren't met, will these funds go back into the town and be utilized for other budgets or capital improvements outside of the library? I feel we deserve some additional details of the additional annual costs to maintain the library as well. Additional operating costs in the future, utilities, inspections, etc. It's a really tough vote on taking the loan without these details. I think overall, well, the FAQ document was probably created in really good faith. I think there needs to be quite a bit more transparency of this project to voters prior to town meeting day. I mean, if you look at the total amount that taxpayers ultimately will have paid for or will pay for, you know, it's getting over $700,000. Yes, only 205 will be due to a loan, but that's a significant amount of money that could be potentially utilized for other capital expenditures within the town. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Dan. It would seem to me that if I would like you to submit that to the select board. I don't think that we can answer all those questions tonight, and we would have to also get the librarian involved in those questions to be able to answer the questions about the library statistics. And we'll try to get you your answers by, I would hope, by pre-town meeting day.
Great, thank you.
Richard, Ann Ryder also has her hand up.
Who does?
Ann Ryder.
Oh, Ann. Yes. Sorry, Ann.
It's all right. One thing that I found very helpful piece of information was the pie chart that Isaac shared at the information meeting about the library. Isaac voiced some hesitancy to share that chart because he felt like it required some explanation, but I think a lot of people have been confused about total cost, where the funds are coming from, and I actually think that pie chart gave a lot of pretty clear information about that, so people knew what money was coming from where and what money was still needing to be raised. So I just would encourage you to reconsider that decision, and I think that'd be a piece of information that would be helpful to a lot of people.
Okay, we can consider putting that with the FAQ. There's no reason we can't add to it at this point. Dan?
Yeah, just in regards to that pie chart, I did watch the recording and unfortunately wasn't able to attend that meeting. I think the pie chart started to do a great job, but I think it would be great if we could get a little more detailed breakdown for each section within the pie chart so we really understand the various details. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, on to the ARPA applications update. We want to discuss tonight the potential delay of reviewing the applications and making decisions on those, the applications that have been submitted to the select board for review and decision. And I know that both Miranda and Zon had stuff to say about it. So Zon, do you want to begin our discussion of that?
Sure, thank you, Richard. I'd be glad to. I think it's important to note that when the ARPA funds were first announced and began coming our way, and we began to understand what they were about, Guilford, I think, probably was one of the first towns in the state that really just went right to bat. And we went out with a big heart, and because we know there's a lot of need here in town, and we responded very quickly to set up a program that would allow for us to meet some of the needs that we see in the community or have heard about. And I think that we're not a social service agency as a select board, and that's one of the really sticking points of this entire project all across the country is that select boards have to, we're not a granting agency really, we're not a social service agency, and yet we're being asked to address a lot of issues in our communities. So since we set that program up, we've learned a lot about the ARPA program. The ARPA program has actually even changed since that time, and some of the rules about it have changed. And we've also learned in a parallel track that there are lots of social service agencies in the state that are already supplying assistance to community members around the state that could be put to use right here in Guilford. And we're not even sure that people are aware of them. And so it's sort of caused me to change, to pause and think a little bit about what we're doing. We estimate that for every grant application that we got, there certainly must be at least that many more need cases here in town. And so it seems like it would make sense for us to really try to work at building bridges and then be a little bit more sensible about our approach with granting funds as we go forward. This is not, my thought is not at all that we want to not fund. That's absolutely not the issue. It's what's the best use of this money as it goes forward. It's a one-time opportunity, and we have a really remarkable set of opportunities here in front of us. And it's not that we are attempting to minimize need or anything like that. I think it's more that we moved very quickly, and we've learned a lot about this program because it's changed since we started. So I think it feels like we need to take a little more time to evaluate the final rule, which is coming down from the ARPA program, which is the guide that's actually going to govern how all these funds are actually spent. That has changed since we started our program. So we don't understand everything about it right yet. And so it seems like we need to get a little bit more in sync with this program, which came out before it was completely orchestrated. So
can I add to that, Zon, in regard to the final rule? The final rule has been final, but the details of it, according to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, has not been fully articulated. And the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, VLCT, is recommending to all towns to slow down and to wait until they metabolize the information that's in the final ruling, which is apparently about 300 or 400 pages long. It comes from the Treasury Department. We've also been in consultation with Katie Buckley, who is the sort of ARPA czar of Vermont, who's also suggested that we slow down and that we wait till the VLCT gives its advice, and that also waits that we wait until she finishes a handbook on the current meaning and purpose, the current instructions of the final rule, which she has in process now, which will allow not only our town but all towns in Vermont to know it. So we're getting this information to slow down, not to stop, but just to hold up on review and decision until the VLCT, which is an organization that we turn to for great deal of advice, recommends that we should go forward and gives us the kind of information that they say we should be having before we move forward. John, did you want to say more?
I think it's important for us to acknowledge that we have received applications from folks in the community, and we realize that this is a tough moment here as we consider this. I think it doesn't mean, I think it would be fair, or I feel personally that it doesn't mean that we have to stop our process altogether. It's just that we have to step a little bit more carefully as we're going along than we had originally laid out. And so I think we need to continue discussing things a bit. And I hope that we will stay in touch with the community about what our next steps need to be in order so that we can maximize this program and really make it really work well for the entire community. I think it really can't be overstated. This is not an attempt to step back from the program or to change our original goals or anything like that. It's just that it's sort of as if the world has changed around us, and we need to understand better where things are right now before we make commitments that might not be the best form of commitment.
Right, and this is not singular to the town of Guilford. It's the whole state, it's the whole country, really. And I would just like to remind folks that the review process and the decision process will be made in public at a special select board meeting, which will be devoted to reviewing the proposals and deciding on their merits. Miranda, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. I've been eager to weigh in on that. The Vermont League of Cities and Towns has collected lists of resources for assistance that is available, for instance, for people who are having issues with their housing. There's an entire list of resources available for local people, for Guilfordites to access who are having issues being behind on their bills. And I want to make it my responsibility to reach out to people and to make sure that as a member of the select board, people know what resources there are available. There's a list of these housing resources, housing related resources that the select board can, that we can post prominently on our website. And I've been talking, I just began conversing with Leah from Guilford Cares about putting together a group of volunteers to help people learn about the resources for individuals, resources for small businesses, resources, I hope, for nonprofits, that where different state agencies are responding to COVID difficulties that individuals and organizations and businesses have been having. I was surprised at the number of resources that once I was directed were available, but I think that they require navigators. I heard from Katie Buckley that many towns are starting ARPA advisory committees comprised of people who want to help us be involved in this process, both in envisioning what to do with the funds that Guilford has and also making sure that they get allocated appropriately. And, you know, I feel very badly personally about having a delay, but I also feel as if we don't want to be lurching forward in a way that isn't really sort of respectful of how big and complicated this is. The ARPA regulations are, to me, as confusing as COVID itself is. And I would like to reach out to people in town and invite them to be more involved as partners with us, rather than thinking that they're being left in the lurch.
Thank you, Miranda. I think that idea of an advisor and an ARPA advisory committee is a very good one, and we'll certainly put that on the agenda. Anne, did you have a question or a comment?
Comment, yes, thank you, Richard. And maybe you guys have sort of thought of this already. I think that you've talked about reaching out to the town, but I think it's very important that you communicate directly with those people who have applied for ARPA funds. And I didn't get the sense from just listening to this that you know what your revised timeline would be, but that you say to them just what you've done and let them know, because I think what was originally on the website was that the applications are closed January 2nd, and by February 18th, you'll know. And so those people need to know that they won't know.
Absolutely.
Right. And a direct, whether it's a letter or an email, something direct to the people who were the applicants would be really important at this point, and hopefully with a revised timeline as soon as you establish one.
Thank you very much, Anne. That's very good advice.
That's right.
Miranda?
Yes, even more than that, I could envision a phone call, especially to the individuals, and to be, talking about in the interim how to access these additional resources that are available for them.
Yeah. I'd like to second that. I think that's a great idea, Brenda. And the reason I would second it is because, as I understand this list of resources that I just discovered recently, is that these are ongoing resources as opposed to the ARPA funding, which would probably be more like a one-time largesse, a gesture of largesse. And so these ongoing resources, it's an opportunity for our community to get more deeply engaged in connecting with the various residents and making sure that we're all taken care of well. So.
And some of them are ARPA funds. I mean, huge amounts of ARPA funds that are in that resource list as well. So I guess what we should do is to, if we were talking about action steps, we want to make sure that, well, we'll talk about our action steps when we get to our action steps portion of the agenda. Any other comments about the update? This has been a good conversation. And are there any other comments or questions?
I just have one. Since we're going to be redoing it, are these people that have applied going to have to reapply because the things are changing?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm saying that, but I mean, that's not the way a granting program would work. It's our responsibility. The delay is in our hands, not in theirs, and so we have to be responsive to what they submitted. Okay, we good on this?
Yes. Sorry, I did see Leah's hand up, but
Then she put it down.
Okay.
Is it up or down?
Back up.
It's up.
Back up. You're on mute, Leah. You're on mute, Leah.
Is this a combination of organizations that have applied and individuals? Are we talking about a lot of different kinds of entities that have already applied? For instance, this Miranda gave me a link to the housing resources list, and that looks to me like it's for individual residents to apply to. What you've received as a town, are they more project oriented, or?
They're from individuals, organizations, businesses, and nonprofits.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I think it's also, I think it's fair to characterize the applications that we've received as being redressing COVID-related losses, and then looking forward into advancements or investments for the community. And so there are differences. That's another way of looking at, another lens through which they can be looked at.
So I agree that there's a very big challenge in finding the people that would best be served if we could reach them and they could hear. And that is a task that I, for one, would really appreciate having some heads getting together to figure out just how to get the word out broadly.
Thank you, Leah.
Okay.
Okay, the postcard, I just wanted to mention that the Selectboard sent a postcard about the pre-town meeting, which will be on, oh God, now I'm going to forget the date, February 27th, I believe.
4th.
No, 4th.
24th.
I'll be there, February 24th at 7 p.m. And we want to make sure that the word gets out. We will be going through the articles, and the candidates will have an opportunity to present themselves, and the questions. The Selectboard will take questions. We hope for a hearty dialogue on that evening before town meeting, which, as you know, this year is by Australian ballot. Okay, warrants. Oh, Zon? You're on mute.
Leslie has her hand up, Richard.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Leslie.
Hi, will it be recorded?
Definitely. It will also be live streamed as well, but yes, it'll be recorded. It'll be on BCTV channel 1085, as well as on YouTube, and I will put a link to it on the town website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we on to the warrants now?
Yes, Miranda, do you want to make a motion?
I move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week 1/30/22 for the sum of $5,981.02. Payroll week 2/6/22 for the sum of $7,028.55. Payroll week 2/13/22 for the sum of $6,075.29. Expense warrant 2215, take a deep breath, for the sum of $146,484.97 for a grand total of $165,569.83.
Do I have a second? Okay, and now we can discuss, yes?
Who seconded, Richard?
Okay.
Pardon?
Who seconded, please?
Zon.
Okay.
Can I just explain what the,
Yes, please.
what the big ticket items are before we have discussion?
Please.
Okay, so the expense for the siding on the town garage was, let's see, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but that was one of the two largest items. And the other second largest item was to pay the architect on the library. And there was also health insurance, salt, sand, and repairs from the highway department. So
Lots of salt and sand, Dan said in his report.
if people want the exact figures, I have them.
Okay.
Richard, Ann Ryder has her hand up.
Yep.
I was curious, Randy, I thought I heard you read payroll week 2, and then I thought I heard you read payroll week 2 in a different amount. Why are there two payroll week?
No, payroll 2, it was the date. I'm sorry. It was January 30th, 2022, February 6th, 2022, and February 13th. And so I'm sorry if I...
That's all right, I just was confused, thank you.
Yeah, well, I must have been as well, sorry, Ann.
Okay.
Dan?
I was just wondering, what were the costs for the architects running the library design, and if so, and was that covered solely by grants?
Oh, hang on just a second and let me get the warrant up. I don't have the...
I've got it right here. So the,
I think it's on one of those 2 pages there.
yeah, it is. I'm just trying to find.
Yes, it is. Oh, let's see, there's the, I've got it.
Yes.
Okay, the architect fee is $31,241.26.
And was that covered by grants?
The previous portion of the architect's fees were covered by grants. This is coming from the capital fund as previously approved by the select board.
Yeah, I would love to see some transparency surrounding what amount of just even those architecture fees prior to even a vote happening is covered by grants versus what's coming out of the capital fund being afforded by taxpayers.
The select board discussed that at a previous meeting.
Okay, could that be added to the FAQ document?
What would you say what it is that you're looking for more clearly?
Yeah, just a current spend for basically the proposed project prior to it even being voted on by the townspeople.
You want to know the expenditure, the town expenditures beyond the grant as at the present time?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Very good. I'll take the roll then. Zon?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. Thank you for that. The warrants are passed. Other business. Lisa Barry is going to talk to us about the statistical reappraisal. Lisa, you there?
I am here.
Okay. Do you want to sort of go over, just review that again in order to make the motion? We need to have the information.
Yes. What the Board of Listers is requesting that the Selectboard approve the concept and then sign the contract for a statistical reappraisal for the current tax year we're going into. This involves, the situation is with the housing market being crazy the last couple years, and I anticipate it will be crazy for another few, it has put our CLA and our COD in.
You want to explain those acronyms?
So the CLA is our common level of appraisal. Ideally, it's at 100, and that's just how far off from either high or low we are in relation to, being right on market value. And the COD is common level of is a coefficient of dispersion, and that's just how far off from the center line we are. And with the values of properties going anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5% of what we have them valued at, our CLA is tanking. I don't have in front of me what it is, but it's going down significantly each year. And then because of the way that CLA and COD are calculated by the state, it's a rolling 3-year. So the most recent one has kind of a half of a bad year, a full bad year, and then one normal year is the first year. So then this coming year, so that one normal year, 2019, for next year is going to fall off. And then we'll have 2020, 21, 22 that will all be way off, and then our CLA will be really bad. And I anticipate, hard to say for sure, but I anticipate being required to do a reappraisal next year or the year after if we don't take advantage of the situation for a statistical reappraisal. The statistical reappraisal can only be done within 5 years of a full reappraisal. And this is year 5. So this is our only chance. We either take it now or we wait and see and have to do a full reappraisal. 2 reasons I don't want to do a full reappraisal. One is I do anticipate that the market at some point will even out and that'll be far enough away from our 2017 full reappraisal that we'll want to be doing another one and getting into all the homes again. And we won't have the funding to do 2 of them close together. Now, we talk about funding. The state gives to every town a certain number of dollars per parcel that goes into a fund for the purposes of reappraisal. The town cannot decide to spend it on something such as a library. It has to be reappraisal oriented. We do have enough money to do this statistical reappraisal and continue building up our funds toward a full reappraisal coming in another, I don't know, probably another 5 years or so. And so I would like to do the statistical reappraisal again, which will put off the need to do the full reappraisal until we either feel that it's time to get our numbers back in line again, or we're required to do so because the market will have evened out again and it will be high.
Thank you. Lisa, can you just enumerate some of the benefits of doing the statistical reappraisal?
Again, it will give us a chance to go through. A lot of it is land tables, so there will be a lot of math and trial and error in determining what our land has been selling for and working on that. We've come up with a curve, so a per acre, the more acres, the less per kind of thing. So we have to work on a new curve with our land tables. And then, again, it's just kind of a study of sales, what type of properties are going for more than others, and just, again, studying sales and working toward coming up with a model that will work with, basically mimic what real life has been and is being right now as much as possible. Because we can't just go and, change the values of a house. We can't sales chase. I can't say a house sold for $500,000 and valued at $500,000 if I already have a value at $250,000. I can't just change it like that. So this gives us the chance to get our values up and closer. And again, on our CLA and our COT, will be closer to baseline.
Any questions or comments? Someone want to make a motion to have the town do a statistical reappraisal that will be paid for by state funds?
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Rusty. Do I have a second? Miranda seconds it. Is there any further discussion or questions? There being none, then I will take the vote. Miranda?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Hi.
Richard? Aye. The motion carries. Thank you very much. On to communications.
We have
Actually, could just say one quick other thing?
Yes.
I did send you guys the contract. May I assume that will get signed in the near future, so I may get this ball rolling?
Yeah, and I wanted to point out for those listening and the select board as well, is that we had asked Lisa to check in with how many, 15 other
I had a total of 19.
Right, and no one else would do it but the one that we are contracting with, is that correct?
That is correct. I reached out to all 19 of the state-approved appraisal firms. The one that I've got the contract with obviously said yes. I had about 6 or 7 of them said no, and nobody else replied.
Thank you, good work.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the communications. Are there any communications, Peter?
no, Richard.
Okay, actions from the previous meeting?
You approved the V-Trans mileage certificate. You moved town meeting day to be by Australian ballot only. You approved the warning for town meeting day. And we were to schedule a special meeting to review ARPA applications, which is now to be rescheduled. As far as actions from this evening, you approved the placement of the POP cabinet in the town office for DVFiber. You approved me to be the account administrator, point of contact, and authorized representative for the ARPA reporting. You approved the select board and town commissions to have the option to have fully remote meetings pursuant to Act 78. And you approved the statistical reappraisal.
Okay, and we want to get in the actions that Dan Calais has suggested to us for the FAQ.
And Dan's going to follow up with the select board with his further questions.
Dan, can you follow? Could you submit those to Peter by email, and we'll work on getting them done.
Will do, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is there any further business? I see none. Is there a motion in the air?
Oh.
Is that action step? The follow-up with the ARPA applicants?
Oh, that's an action step, yes. That should definitely be in there. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
So we want to communicate with each one, and Peter and I will work on that. If someone would like, one of our select board members would like to volunteer to call, okay, two, all right. So it can only be one of you, which, Miranda, do you want to call the individuals?
Why don't we say that Zan and I will divide up the list, and if he's willing, and we will call people and talk about next steps.
Okay, and would you work with Peter on that, that there's no need for me to be involved? Yeah, great.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Don and I will work with Peter on communicating with the applicants and also sharing resources that we now know.
Okay, let me caution that I think that in terms of communicating with the applicants, we need to have the correct communication, which would be about timing and so forth. So that's something that we're going to have to put our heads together with. I mean, do we want to just say that we're delayed, or we wanted to say that we're delayed until a date certain, or do we want to just say we don't know now, but we will contact you when we know more? I think that's the only thing we can say now, because we haven't met to decide on a new timeline.
Well, I think the first thing I want to say is we're not abandoning you, and that maybe we can work out with Peter what the timeline is, but I want to get resources to the people, especially the individuals.
Right, but it's more than resources. It's letting them know about their submission to us.
No, I understand that.
They're worrying about. So we want to address that. My suggestion would be that we are delayed, and we will be in touch with them when we know more. Does that sound agreeable? Rusty says yes. Yes, son?
I think I might just tighten it up a little bit.
Oh, sure.
But just tighten it up in the sense that what we see is our next steps. That there will be, we're planning a next meeting, and as soon as we can pull that together, then we'll be in touch soon after that.
Okay.
Just
Right. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
yes.
Okay. Do I have a second? Did I have is Miranda seconded? And is there any discussion?
Even on Valentine's Day, I think we should adjourn.
Oh, okay. Right.
Just
It's
will
love,
acquaintance be forgot.
right. And love conquers all. Isn't that correct?
Yes, well, and also.
Oh, Leslie put a heart up. Leslie, that's very sweet. Thank you.
And I wanted to thank the people from the public who came to our meeting. I don't know, hi Sarah. I haven't seen a picture of Cara, but Dan, thank you for coming, and you are always welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any further discussion on the motion, which has been made and seconded? I shall take the roll then. Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Zong?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.